to be a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. So I wanted to get to your second reign, which may seem on the surface to some to be almost a transitional champion when you pass it on to Macho Man Randy Savage. Any thoughts about the early days of the great Macho Man? Your opinion on Randy?
Well, the early days, they brought in Macho Man without a manager. You guys remember when everybody was fighting for him?
Yep.
And then they introduced Elizabeth. Well,
sure.
Macho Man was doing TV tapings, and he was wrestling in house shows, and he wasn't getting any response whatsoever. He wasn't getting over. He didn't start getting over until they put him in with Elizabeth, and they ended up working the angle pretty good.
Wow.
I worked with Macho Man in Detroit, and I let him call the whole match, and we didn't hardly get any response, which usually I would get a response, but I would put in my 2 cents. But I wanted him to see. I let him do the whole match. There wasn't that many people there. So after the match, I talked to him and I said, Randy, I said, I threw more drop kicks tonight than I've had probably in the whole year here.
Right.
And I said, and you notice that they didn't mean shit. I said, here in New York, because he came back from Kentucky, they owned Kentucky, and he was the big dog in Kentucky. And to me, he was used to having jabroni matches. And because that's what they were programmed in Kentucky, high spot. I said, New York is different. New York, they want a fight and a little bit of wrestling. I said, they're used to Bruno Sammartino.
Yep.
Kicking and punching and beating the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
They want a fight and a little bit of wrestling. I said, you need to incorporate a fight and a little bit of, of wrestling. And I'm sure you guys have heard Randy would come in with the 2 or 3 pages of the match, written up, and he would forget because he forgets some of the stuff, and he wasn't sharp enough to let's take it off and go from here to there.
So he wanted purely a scripted match from start to finish. He was Lanny said he was a perfectionist, and you dealt with that. This is the first time dealing with someone at this I don't know, maybe OCD type of situation where he wanted everything exactly the way it was supposed to be.
Did you ever work with anybody as prepared as Randy?
Well, at that point, you're a bigger star than him.
Yeah.
Do you say, hey, look, dude, I'm going to tell you how that, like you just said, how it's going to be done, and was he open to it? So you tell him all this. What does he say to you?
Well, because I remember the first time that he got lost, and I got us back on track. I remember George Steele. He did the same thing with George, and George took the paper, and tore it up.
Chew on it and spit it up.
Hey, let's have this match. Okay.
So that
right.
I think eventually he started weeding out of because we learned. Mr. Fuji taught me. He says you have to go in there and listen to the people. They'll tell you what they want. And in the beginning, I used to say, "What the hell is he talking about?"
So true, though.
Yeah. He says, "Listen to the people. Just they'll tell you what they want.
They'll tell you everything."
And that's why Jesse the Body was so good. The people want to come here and they want to be part of the show. So look at the people and get them involved in the match and messing around with the people in the front row and stuff. It took Randy a while to master that, but he turned out to be one heck of a heel.
Oh boy!
But I think the fact they did it perfect.
The Elizabeth introduction was needed. She was as big as a star as he was, and there's nothing wrong with saying that, right? She was.
No, not at all.
It's great that you talk about her, though. The rumors about the way he treated Elizabeth in the back, locking her away from the boys. Is this true? Can you tell us a few stories, maybe?
Well, he was a very jealous man, and understandably, because the wrestlers in general. You guys know. How many wrestlers have lost a wife to another wrestler?
Yeah.
To me, that's as low as it gets.
Yeah, it's tough.
You gotta. Move into somebody.
So he had a right. He had a right to feel protective. He was just over the top.
Yeah, he knew the business, but he was extremely jealous, and he'd lock her up in the room, and he had a secret knock. I remember there was a guy. His name is Mark in Tampa, in Toronto, and he forgot to knock and didn't, and he opened the door. And he says, "I told you the secret knock." You know. So
the secret knock.
The secret knock.
Oh my God, that's the knock.
right.
Wow.
So you know, he was definitely
Tense
overprotective, and I mean, she was a beautiful woman.
Tense man.
Now, did you ever interact with her? And
No, he didn't let anybody talk.
Just couldn't even talk to her.
No, I mean, I did team up with him, me and Rick, and 6-man tags, and we would talk a little bit over the finish and stuff like that. But that was it. There was no much interaction. That's why I was totally surprised, the way it turned out at the end. Where all of a sudden, I was with Randy Savage in Erie, Pennsylvania, when he got served with papers with divorce papers.
Oh my God.
And I mean, he was devastated. He left and went to Florida that night, and I'm sure you guys know the little heat there with Hogan.
Sure.
He blamed Hogan because supposedly she was. I mean, you hear a lot of crap, but supposedly she was having an affair with a policeman in Tampa, and she was having an affair with the guy that was making the movie with Hogan in Miami. So not only having one, she was having 2 different affairs. So I guess when Randy she got off the road and Randy was on the road, I think she just
Cat's away.
yeah. I mean, she just got tired of being too much. I think, man. Who knows?
Perhaps. I want to move on. You wind up with gold again in